The sun is filtering through the cover of the mango trees in Eastern Uganda. We're in Gweri, at the farm and home of Emmanuel Odeke and Teresa Tino. We're surrounded by rows and rows of trees, all of them lush with heavy mangoes and oranges ready to be picked. The property has a brick home, a well, and traditional thatched homes often referred to as straw huts. The children are many and the chickens make the rounds. But it wasn't always this way. The land is the product of many years of effort from Emmanuel and Teresa. Welcome to Nature Answers, rural stories from a changing planet. I'm your host, Ivy Prosper. This week, we bring you to Gweri, Uganda, where a local farmer and his wife changed their family's fortunes using nature. Throughout this episode, you'll be hearing interviews with Emmanuel Odeke, which are translated by Vincent Odele. Later in the episode, Vincent leads us through the process of grafting a mango tree to produce a higher quality fruit. While most translations are done by Vincent, Emmanuel sometimes responds in English.
First of all, we want to welcome you to this village.
Emmanuel was born in Ukai village on the outskirts of Gueri in eastern Uganda. His childhood coincided with the aftermath of Uganda's civil war. The East was particularly affected, leaving families to survive on what little they could grow on crops ravaged by the conflict. Cattle rustling from neighboring communities left former dairy farmers without a way to provide for their families.
As I grew up in this community from the peasantry family, it had nothing, like you could not see a tree, you could not see a fruit.
The situation growing up left Emmanuel to help his father tend to what little crops they could grow. On the side, Emmanuel would help his father with odd jobs in order to help him earn a little income. They would clean and weed for other farmers they could reach on foot.
And he dropped simply because the father could not meet paying school fees.
After dropping out of high school at age 16, a young Emmanuel had fruit on his mind. Having worked odd jobs at other farmlands, he dreamed of having fruit trees of his own. Then, when Emmanuel turned 18, things changed. He inherited his share of the family's farmland from his father. The 1.5 acres of land we're sitting on today is about the size of a football field and a half.
So, when I came into the piece of the land that father gave me, it was a bare piece of land. The soil were not fertile. It could not support the growing of food crops.
A year later, at age 19, Emmanuel married Teresa Tino.
How will I manage this life? Then I started thinking through the suffering which undergone when I was a child. We used to move for the nearby neighbors to look for the fruits and some other fruit trees to enjoy.
Newly married and without stable income, Emmanuel wanted more for his family. He was inspired by the fruit trees of other farms he worked on throughout his youth and decided to take a risk, using the family farmland he had inherited. At the time, he only had a few sheep on his plot of land, and with them, he made a bold decision. he sold one of the female sheep to buy lemon seeds.
When we sold the sheep, we had to buy the seeds of lemon tree. These were about 4 cups. And we together with a friend, and we planted them in a nursery bed, raised them. When they are raised, when reached somewhere, we started now grafting them, improving them from local to hybrid.
After the friend lost interest, Emmanuel continued on with the project. The challenge became how to begin his tree planting initiative while protecting the deteriorated environment and his income. With limited food crops succeeding on his land, he felt he had no other choice but to stay the course for his family.
Could not realize what was enough to cater for the family and what to sell. And that's why I had to resort now to the project of fruit growing.
Emmanuel sought out more training to see if he could keep his fledgling fruit farm growing. At a church training in Soroti, Emmanuel learned how to graft and bud fruit trees. With time, Emmanuel planted 170 orange trees using the grafting method, all on 1.5 acres of land. The results took time to materialize, but the fruits of his labor began to show. The first harvest yielded 1 bag of oranges. The next gave 13, then 30. The sale of these bags of fruit started to provide consistent income for Emmanuel and Teresa. With each bag fetching about $12, it might seem small, but in rural Uganda, this was enough to start something. The money eventually built an iron sheet home with 2 bedrooms, a storefront, and a sitting room. It has also given Emmanuel and Teresa the resources to send 3 of their children to school.
Life has changed greatly for me because it has enabled me and my husband to put up a house which is 2 bedrooms, a sitting room and a store, and it has also enabled me and my husband to send our children to school.
Teresa hasn't sat back and watched. Aside from running the home and raising the children, she works alongside Emmanuel in the farming. She tends to the trees by pruning dead branches and removes any rotten fruit. She also helps plan the family finances.
Usually, when the harvest is done and the fruits are sold, and Emmanuel gets the money, he brings to me to first keep. And then afterwards, we sit down with him and plan for our money. And we look at the priorities. He does not exclude me anytime we make the sales because the money comes directly to me, and then we sit down and, as husband and wife and plan for the money.
After a drought in 2017 took out 20 of the family's orange trees, they pivoted to other crops. They planted 11 mango trees and 2 jackfruit trees using the same methods to produce a better hybrid product. As we walk through the space, Emmanuel and Teresa show us the variety of trees on their farm. Fresh green mangoes and oranges populate the branches of the trees. What were planted as the local species of oranges and mangoes have grown into hybrids. With a long scythe, Emmanuel reaches up and shakes the branches, letting fruit fall to be collected.
Okay. Formerly we had the local ones, which are bitter and they don't fruit well. Most of them, they fruit and then they develop these small ones. but the animals are big and they give a good yielding.
No, you just peel.
No, I want to cut like this. Don't worry.
The proof is in the taste. Emmanuel's hybrid oranges have a green peel with a deep orange flesh. The mangoes, too, have a distinct and richer texture than the ones back in central Kampala. Now, Emmanuel gives the knowledge back to the community. His success has inspired other local farmers to pursue fruit tree farming as well. These days, they come to Emmanuel to buy the planting materials necessary to produce hybrid fruit trees. At a price of $80 per scion for planting, Emmanuel and Teresa's knowledge of nature is allowing them to succeed. Even our translator Vincent has learned from Emmanuel. Vincent took us to his home nearby to learn more about the grafting technique that Emmanuel taught him. Vincent walks us through the fields to a skinny tree no more than a few feet tall.
So this is a local mango, purely local. But now we are going to improve it by grafting it.
This skinny little tree in the field in front of us is the parent tree. Vincent then reveals the scions. As he told us, a scion is a branch grown from a tree that is already a crossbreed between two fruit tree varieties. With an X-Acto blade, Vincent cuts the branch lengthwise and does the same with the main branch of the local tree, which will then become its trunk.
Then you join them together and tie. And when you tie them, they will compact it. The compaction means the cells come together, and when they come together, they will form now. Then life continues. Then this newly brought to plant will join with the local one. Then now they grow together. So what happens is the newly brought parent, which is called a scion, will now grow on top and give now the new variety. And that's what we're trying to do here in the community. And what you're seeing all here, these are improved.
As our time with Emmanuel, Vincent, and Teresa came to an end, Emmanuel reminded us that his struggle as a young person brought him to nature for the answer.
I had no choice again. The only choice that I had to make was to start the project of planting the trees, the fruit trees that you can see around now here. And you can feel the atmosphere here is conducive. And that's the only way to go. To some extent now, we can enjoy, we can feel I'm happy man. And everything is pushing on well.
And that's it for this week's episode of Nature Answers, a podcast produced by Farm Radio International. You can learn more about nature-based solutions and the people implementing them by subscribing to Nature Answers wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on social media at Farm Radio or visit us at farmradio.org/natureanswers. Tune in to the next episode of Nature Answers, where we'll look at another exciting story about a rural community using a nature-based solution to adapt to climate change. And we want to hear from you. Open up the recording app on your phone. Tell us your name and where you're listening to us from, as well as a nature-based solution you're using in your community. Send us your recording to natureanswers@farmradio.org, and you may be featured in a future episode. Until next time, I'm your host, Ivy Prosper, coming to you from Accra, Ghana.
This is Nature Answers, a podcast produced by Farm Radio International. You can learn more about nature-based solutions by following us wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening. This episode was written and produced in Uganda by me, Victor Vigas Alvarez, with support from staff from Farm Radio International's office in Kampala, Uganda. I feel privileged to have been able to meet Emmanuel Odeke, Teresa Tino, and Vincent Odele while working on this project. I'd like to thank them for welcoming us into their homes to record their parts of this story. Translations were done in real time by Vincent Odele and Sarah Asio. I'd like to give extra thanks to Sarah Asio from Voice of Teso for her translations, advice, and contributions to this project. I'd like to also really thank Doreen Ayanembabazi from the Farm Radio International Uganda office. This podcast would not have been possible without her help. To my fellow volunteer, Madison Eldridge, I'd like to thank you for your guidance and great company throughout this experience. I joined Farm Radio International as part of an internship program with Carleton University's School of Journalism. After leaving Uganda, I began my graduate studies in international economics in Prague, Czechia. To see more of my work or speak with me, you can find me on X or LinkedIn as Victor Vigas Alvarez.
I'm John McGill, one of the producers and the editor of this season of Nature Answers. Farm Radio International compensated community members who participated in our interviews. It is a common practice to compensate a person in this region for the time that they spent being interviewed. Our podcast would exclude many important perspectives if we could only interview those who could afford to step away from their economic activities without compensation. Nature Answers was produced by Farm Radio International, thanks to funding from the Government of Canada.